If you're following Depp and Heard and events after Virginia, you must know Amber is still in Aquaman 2. What I found here on Reddit is a bunch of predictions for the box office and how it'll do. Now, these aren't Forbes, they're not business magazines, just amateur predictions, but nonetheless, I find it kind of interesting. It's a bit older, but not so old where it should change anything. It's a few months ago. What are your box office predictions for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? It's the non-Batman related DC film to gross $1 billion at the box office. But the sequel has gone through a lot of production problems, having to deal with regime changes at WB, forcing them to change parts of the movie. We're also in the heat of the Flash bombing and pretty much every DCU movie flopping in theaters for 3 years, which is the big theory on why it's not going to do good. But my theory is it's a bit of a different kind of movie. Aquaman's not the same draw as the regular flying around in a cape superhero. They also mentioned test screenings went bad. There's another thing there that ain't so good for Aquaman 2. Okay, now let's see some actual number predictions. This person here says around 550 to 700 million with around 150 to 250 million domestic box office. I think that means DOM, could be wrong, unless it's literally unwatchable. So he's predicting quite a bit there. And keep in mind, these people can still get likes and dislikes on their comments. And this one here has got 18 likes. The person also says if it does flop, that will be more humiliating than the Flash flopping. Yeah, there's different things to unpack there. You know who is in it, which will, cause a bad vibe in the theater and a lower box office. Dasa says, I'm sure it won't make anything close to $1 billion. As for the Amber Heard thing, she's a supporting player and apparently with even less screen time this time, so she can easily be put aside during the promotional tour. I guess if they put her aside so far, the really casual people might not know she's in it and just go see it. It's a gray area, man. Even casuals have opinions. I just think to constitute as a casual, you don't actually care about the personal lives. If not, then you're more than a casual. And 9 likes on that one, by the way. The film is going to flop so effing bad. This person predicts about 220 million. I heard it's about 200 million to make it, so that would pretty much be breaking even, which is not what they want. Awful screenings, DCU's dead, fatigue from GA and awful mid superhero films. And 33 likes on that one. The person under him says that Aquaman was mediocre and people went for the novelty, which is what I'm saying. However, there might be less novelty the second time around because we had the novelty of the underwater action stuff. I mean, even I kind of enjoyed that scenery. I like dolphins and whales and things. Who doesn't? Black Star, who's got 24 likes, says if it's good, about 700 million. If not, about 300 million. So yeah, how good it is will play a factor. If it's an awesome movie, if they knock it out of the park, Black Manta is badass, Momoa's great, and Amber's in it, then, like I said, the casuals will say, well, Amber's in it, but we gotta see Momoa and Black Manta. You'll have your hardcore opposers, you could say, be like, nope, not seeing it, even if she's in it for a second. But I think they're going to be like a 20%, 15% margin. 400 million, it's going to flop hard. So I think it's around 200 million to make. So 400 million would be kind of a flop, but they'd make some money on it. Less than 60 million domestically. Okay, there's a prediction. Yellow Fox says what the other person said, 700 million-ish if bad, or maybe 400 million-ish, not saying much. So this person's basically saying on average 600 mil, which is a kind of on the high range. 4 to 500, 400, only 1 like on these. Unruly says 700 million, and Sad Distribution says it makes $1 billion, with the only -1, which is pretty much like a dislike. So that's about it. Once again, this is slightly older, but not much has changed since about 4 months ago. As you can see though, on average, seems to be 500 is the opinion, which is what I said a long time ago, about 500 mil, about half of the first one. I think like half of the crowd's going to show up. But we shall see. I'm not hoping that. That's just realistically what I think. If you're not subscribed here, consider it. If you don't, I'll be sad. We're done here for now. See you next time. If you're following Depp and Heard and events after Virginia, I'm sure you know Amber is still in Aquaman 2. What I've been looking for is some predictions from not from the box office, for the box office. Take fucking two. It's not that hard.